Well, you know, one of the things that blow my mind, that bring a lot of joy to my life are children. The stories they tell and the experience they have are so incredible. And I want to share just a couple stories today that have lit up my life over the years in working with children. You know, I have one nationally published book right now for children, The Real Life Adventures of Catherine Cat Calloway the First, which I'll talk about in another video. Several kids' books already written, ready to be published right now, just looking to find the right publisher. As a matter of fact, I think I do have a publisher for my next new one, which we'll get information on that in the very near future. But I wanted to share with you, you know, when my book came out, I had a chance to travel to 60 elementary schools around the United States, most of them in Florida, but I went to New York, I went to the state of Washington, and several other states, and it was amazing what I learned and the laughter I received from the children. I'm going to tell one of the stories right now. I was in an elementary school in Florida, and one of the teachers came up before I read my book, Cat Calloway, and asked kids questions and all that, and I was talking to a group of second graders, and she said, "There's one of our students, Timmy, that really wants to talk to you afterwards. When he found out that a real live author was coming to his class, that he wanted to share something with you." So I said, "Great, you know, I'd love to meet Timmy." So she brought Timmy up and we said hi, and then he went back and sat down, and then after the class, after I got done with my presentation, and we just had so much fun laughing and having a great time and talking about life, talking about how we all are very special and gifted children in this world, which is one of the main messages of The Real Life Adventures of Catherine Cat Calloway the First, is that everyone has a special gift. That's the message in it, you know, and it may not be in the person that you think that the way they should look or the way they should talk or the way they should act. If they're not like you, that's okay, because they're gifted anyway in some way. So the end of the class, Timmy comes up and he says to me, "Can you wait a couple minutes? I'll be right back." And he took his teacher's hand and he ran out the hall. He comes back in and he's got a book. And he said, "I wrote a book too, Mr. David." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Can I tell you the story?" And I said, "Sure." So I'm going to tell you the story right now. It's so amazing. So Timmy has a best friend who lives on Mars. It's a Martian. Of course, he's a Martian, and he lives on Mars. And they communicate all the time. Now, he didn't tell me how they communicate, but that doesn't matter, because he just said, "We talk constantly." I said, "Oh, that's great." And he said, "And he's a really nice guy." I said, "Wonderful, Timmy." So he said one day his Martian friend invited him to come to Mars to spend the weekend. They were just going to have fun and play and do things that Martian kids do. So Timmy got all excited and he got into his spaceship. Now, this is his book that he wrote. He got into his spaceship, and halfway to Mars, one of his engines went out. And he said this was a really big dilemma. Now, he used the word dilemma, which killed me. You know, he said this was a very big dilemma. I go, I bet it was. And he had to make a decision. Does he turn around and come back to the safety of Earth, knowing he can make it on one engine? Or does he risk it all for his friend, because he told him he would do this, and he never wants to break a promise, because his parents taught him, once you promise something, you always follow through with it. Very good parents, aren't they? So he said he sat there in his spacecraft, and he was thinking, and he had to make a decision pretty quick because the fuel levels were going lower. And so he goes, "Well, I made a promise to my friend. I've got to try to make it. And if I don't make it, at least he knows that I tried." So Timmy went on to Mars, and he finally lands, and he gets there, and his Martian buddy comes out, and they're all excited, and they're hugging each other, and he said it was great, and he told his Martian friend the story, and his Martian friend was so happy. He said, "Timmy, that's so important that you keep your promises." And Timmy goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I didn't want to disappoint you." And the Martian friend says, "Well, I'm really happy that you didn't, because if you didn't come here, I would have to stop sending all the Milky Way candy bars to Earth. So it's a good thing you came." Isn't that a great story from a second grader? I mean, kids just make me laugh. They're so good. They're so creative. They're so talented. And at some point in their life, unfortunately, a lot of that talent and godness that's in them gets pushed to the side. You know, they're told over and over and over again, "That's a stupid story. That's ridiculous. You're not good enough. You're not tall enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough," whatever. But in second grade, baby, these kids have got it down, and Timmy was phenomenal, just phenomenal. I loved his story. And his story, of course, you know, the moral of it is just so great about keeping promises, you know. And, of course, I'm glad that Earth still gets Milky Way candy bars. I'm very happy for us from that perspective, you know. But it was just so cool that he shared that with me. So that's story number one that makes me smile every time I think of Timmy. I hope he does become an author. And then the other story was I was on the Cayman Islands I went down there for work. That was hard, wasn't it? I was speaking to the American Cancer Society and a big fundraiser, so I went down and was doing a keynote speech there. And the next day, I'm walking the beach. There's this place in the Cayman Islands called the 7 Mile Beach. So I'm out walking and just by myself, hanging out, relaxing, enjoying the beauty of the Cayman Islands. And all of a sudden, I'm coming upon these two girls. And the one girl looked to be about 4. And the other girl, her sister, was probably about 10. And I could see them kind of arguing. And the little 4-year-old, now they're on the beach and they're just a few feet from the water. And the little 4-year-old had her goggles on, a snorkel on, her flippers on, and she's on the sand. I mean, still not even close to the water, really, you know. And she's walking really slowly. And her sister is ahead of her going, come on, come on. Why do you have all that stuff on now? Why are you all dressed? I told you to wait till we got in the water. And the little girl walks up and her big mask on, right? And I'm walking by as she says this, and she said, I'm looking for sand sharks. She goes, Daddy told us that there's sand sharks out here, and I'm going slow to make sure there aren't any around before I go into the water. That's why I'm dressed the way I'm dressed. Thank you. Isn't that adorable? Oh my Lord, it was so precious. Anyway, look for a child in your life to bring some levity and joy and laughter into your heart. And I hope these stories sort of warmed up your day, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. If I can help you in any way, if you want to know more about my kids' book, The Real Life Adventures of Catherine Cat Calloway the First, it's aimed for 1st through 4th graders is the target market for that book. You can go to Amazon.com or TalkDavid.com where we have all of my books, and the new kids book will be out soon. If I can help you in any way, visit TalkDavid.com, our blogs, YouTube videos. I'm here for you. Have a great day. Keep smiling. Bye-bye now.